Now to that environmental disaster that's killed 1 million fish. It is complex, but we've got it explained in a short few minutes. And there are two headlines. It is a man-made problem, and you're about to hear it's going to get worse. But first, take a look at this video.
Look at these iconic fish of Australia being treated like this. You have to be bloody disgusted with yourself.
This is a bloody disgrace. This is a man-made disaster. Look at these animals.
Look at them. That makes me feel like crying again.
Two heartbroken farmers there holding some of the 1 million fish dead in the Darling River, and some of those Murray cod are aged at more than 100 years. Locals on the ground are calling it mass murder and environmental vandalism, and they feel that the rest of Australia's forgotten about them. How do 1 million fish just die? Well, here's a map that shows where this crisis is unfolding. The Darling River in Menindee, smack bang in the middle of the problem. One of the farmers in that first video was Robert McBride. He runs a farm that backs onto the river. And we begin tonight's deep dive with an interview from Rob, and then one of Australia's most respected experts about what we can do to help fix the problem. And farmer Rob McBride joins me on Skype now. Rob, we've just played some of your vision. Obviously a heartbreaking few days for you. What has it been like?
I guess it's, Michael, this has happened over a period of years. We've been putting up this 4 or 5 years. I guess it's very sad that it's only taken this to actually come to the public's knowledge. The Darling River system's been collapsed by mismanagement. That's
what we're trying to do this evening, just simplify it so that everybody understands exactly what has happened here. Let's drill into it. Who do you believe is responsible for this disaster?
Effectively, the Menindee Lakes hold 4 times the capacity of Sydney Harbour. They've been drained twice in 4 years. Now, I believe that the Murray-Darling Basin Authority sits on top of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan. What it effectively means is the states call upon the water to come down the river system out of the Menindee Lakes. So I believe the New South Wales government has made stupidly high calls of water over the last 4 years. So effectively the Menindee Lakes, instead of being near full, has been drained twice in 4 years.
So is this directly the fault of government and bureaucracy?
The fact is the Menindee Lakes are a huge expanse of water that have survived for 30 million years and effectively has protected the Darling River system for a prolonged period of time. This is the decisions made by bureaucrats to effectively destroy the integrity of the Menindee Lake system. To give your listeners some indication, each lake's 14 kilometres long by 16 kilometres and about 5 to 7 metres of water. So we're talking a huge amount of water let down the Darling River for no apparent reason.
All right, Rod, thank you so much for joining me and explaining.
Thank you very much indeed, mate.
Now, joining me in the studio is Richard Kingsford. Richard's the Director of the Centre for Ecosystem Science from the University of New South Wales. Richard, thanks for joining us. We've obviously just heard from Rob, but we're trying to get you to break it down for us. We have some maps to try and understand the system, so let's bring those up now and refer to them. What are we looking at here?
So the light blue area is the Murray-Darling Basin, which covers Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia. The bottom part of that is the River Murray, and the top half is essentially the Darling, and that's what we're talking about.
So this area here is what we're talking about, and let's bring up exactly where the trouble spot is now on this map. So that's it there.
That's the Menindee Lakes and the Darling River, and that's where the fish kills happen over about 30 or 40 kilometres of that river.
All right, that's such an expansive system. Let's drill into that a bit further and try and tighten that map so we can understand where the water from those lakes flow to. Let's bring that up now. Now, Menindee Lakes we can see at the top of the screen, and that's going to tighten again. This is the area here where the water's been drained. Where was that water released and where did it go?
So that Menindee Lakes is managed with the River Murray to deliver water into South Australia for irrigation and towns and the environment. So that's where that water went from Menindee Lakes.
So down into South Australia
That's
there.
correct.
OK. But wasn't it meant to fill up again? Why didn't that happen?
So it relies on the Darling delivering the next lot of water into the Menindee Lakes and filling it up. And this has been going on for 30-odd years. And that's been an agreement across all of the states. But, you know, what's happened this time is essentially we've got history catching up with us. And the development that we've seen in those catchments in the north, mainly in New South Wales, but also in Queensland, in the Condamine Ballon and Cubby Station, and building of storages has taken that water out. So that water's no longer getting down to the Darling as much as it used to.
So they're holding the water much further upstream, so to speak?
That's correct, over a long period. So about 50% of the water that used to come into the Menindee Lakes is no longer getting there.
So everyone in the Menindee Lakes region, we can understand why they're getting pretty angry because they're trapped in the middle with no water.
That's right. And so the problem then comes when that water gets really very scarce. The blue-green algae builds up in the river system. And we had a cold snap on the weekend, killed the blue-green algae, and as it dies, it sucks the oxygen out of the water, and that's where you get the death of these fish, because they obviously need water and they need that oxygen.
They're having a pretty hard run then, aren't they? And you can understand their argument that this is a man-made problem to a large degree.
It's been, they're coming for about 20 or 30 years.
What's the solution here then?
Well, the solution is to try and get more water back into this river system, and that means not taking as much out. And the problem there is that that's a very difficult decision, and we've supposedly gone through that, and we haven't really delivered, I don't think, the amount of water we need.
So the Menindee Lakes region, that is the flashpoint for the problem that's been coming for a long time and is going to persist, really?
It's going to persist and probably get worse, because we've got 1,400 kilometres of the Darling, and we're talking only about 30 or 40, and there are these blue-green algal and fish populations up and down it. So, you know, knocking out that number of fish is a real problem.
All right, thank you. As we've said here, it's an environmental disaster. Do you believe that it is in that area?
Absolutely. You know, this is unprecedented. Those are old fish that have died.
All right, terrific. Richard, thank you for coming in and explaining all of that.
Thanks very much, Michael.